Well, hi there, welcome back. This time we got a message. This is a story submitted by Nate. Okay, so I'm gonna narrate this, but this story is directly from Nate. Now, this is the first time that I've told anyone about what happened on that fateful day 2 years ago. We were walking the foothills of Pensa-Lurkey, my wife, Granda, and me. We were heading up to the Pensa-Lurkey Pass, high up past the falls. We'd stowed our valuables in the car and hiked north, a path we followed twice before in the early spring sunlight falling on our faces. An hour or so into our hike, and we both stopped in our tracks. We'd heard a metallic ping, like someone hitting a dulled bell. Looking around, I could see no obvious source of the sound. We were on a rocky ridge with little foliage and only a tree or two. We shrugged and continued our innocent journey up the hill towards the Pensa-Lurkey Pass. Now the hours passed, and the sun's position in the crucid sky shifted from directly above us to over on our left. Granda and I decided that it was time for a break on our journey, to collect our thoughts and to recollect what had happened. As soon as we sat down and got ready for a cup of coffee, we started thinking back to that dull metallic clang that we'd heard back down on the trailhead. Granda didn't condone caffeine in any way, so had a special method of refining coffee from the soil. As I sat there and watched her claw up handfuls of soil to put into her coffee grinder, I could only guess as to what the sound had been. Maybe a loose rock had fallen from the side of the path and had struck a discarded tin can on its journey downwards. Now Granda shook her head and gave me a look that would send a shiver down my spine for some days to come. Attached to her rucksack was her favorite pan. It's a pan that she would never travel without. Whether she was preparing rice over a campfire or needed something to strike with a wooden spoon to scare away some pigeons, she would always use this pan. She gulped before telling me her conclusion about the mysterious sound that we'd witnessed. She was shaking visibly and tripping over her words as she explained to me what she thought had happened, that an evil spirit had perhaps inhabited her pan, and the only outlet for the spirit's malevolence was to clang upon the very pan it was hiding inside. We both turned our heads slowly towards the pan that now sat on the ground at the side of the trail next to a big rock. She stood and walked slowly towards the pan. As the sun had sank over the hill, the interior of the pan was now in shadow. Could this shadow contain the evil essence of our suspicions? Now Granda grasped the pan's handle and quickly threaded a cord through the pan's hanging handle. She was muttering with anger about how she wasn't going to let any evil force take away her most useful pan. I threw the other end of the cord over a high branch on a nearby tree and pulled, hoisting the pan up high above us. I pulled, and finally the pan was swinging on the cord, maybe 100 meters high above us. We shaded the dwindling sunlight from our eyes as we peered up at the pan. Just then, the kettle boiled on the campfire. I tied off the end of the cord so that the pan would remain suspended and poured some of Granda's soiled coffee into a cup. It was thick and gritty. This is just what gave me the idea of how to exorcise any evil entity that might be residing inside the pan. I explained to Granda that she must cut down the cord with my packing knife. The second I tell her to do so, the timing of the process must be precise in order for it to work. It was at that time that a fellow hiker came down the trail from the north on her way back to civilization. She said hi to us, of course, and looked up high at the cord in the pan. I asked her to stand back for her own safety. I gripped my cup of steaming soiled coffee, set my plan into motion. As the pan hurtled towards the ground, I would swiftly throw the contents of my coffee cup into the pan. The combination of scalding drink and the impact of the ground should hopefully rid us of the evil force hiding within. I signaled to Granda to proceed with the execution of the process. She gripped tight to the packing blade and held it aloft. She said a quick prayer to the Lord over the blade and swung it down towards the suspended twine. The blade cut through the cord's fibers, and the pan started its journey downwards, hurtling towards us, maybe with malicious intent. Now, as it fell closer and closer, the hiker who'd stopped to watch stepped closer, just as I threw the mug of steaming coffee and grit. Bang on target, the drink went inside the pan as it neared the rocky ground, steam shooting from the pan as it collided with the hard ground, luckily not even knocking a dent out of its circular brim. Unfortunately, quite a lot of the scorching, gritty soil coffee had splashed across the face of the poor hiker. She screamed as she stumbled about on the loose rocks. The arms were held out as if she was asking for help before she fell backwards into the valley beneath us. As she fell, I hoped that the leaves on the ground would help to wipe away some of the coffee from her face as she scraped past them on the way down. Granda and I held hands and lay on the ground in the clearing, looking up at the dusky sky above, deep in thought. After we had come to terms with what had happened, Granda stood and picked up the pan. She scrubbed it clean with water from her bottle and wiped away marks of dust and mud, then reattached the pan to her bag for the rest of our trip. We packed away everything else as we caught a last glimpse of the sunset over the Crusted Hill yonder. What a beautiful evening on the Pensa-Lurkey trail. Well, thanks for listening to this tale of terror. You never know what's going to happen next. Okay, guys, take care. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you can be subscribed. All the best, guys.